Hello everyone, Dr. Smith, physical therapist here. Today I'm going to be breaking down the return on investment of becoming a DPT versus the return on investment of becoming a PTA. Before I get into that, please subscribe to the channel, please hit the like button below, comment as the video moves along, and please share the video if you find it helpful. So what I've done is I've actually calculated what I'm talking about here, and I'll put it on the screen behind me or on the screen here or somewhere. But if you want a copy of this, you can click the link below and download a copy for yourself. So let's get started. When it comes to years of higher education being after your GED or high school diploma, how many years you're spending in an institution of higher learning. For a PTA, that's 2 years. For a DPT, that is 7 years. Now I know there are hybrid programs out there and 3+3 programs, but on average, most PTAs spend 2 years, most DPTs spend 7 years in higher education. What is the starting salary for a PTA according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics? It is $58,790. Now that may seem high or low for you, but I know PTAs who've taken my course who are at over 100,000 as a PTA. Go read the comments on my Facebook post. You'll see PTAs working in SNFs making 70, but I also know a few PTAs making 40 in PEDS. So the average is $58,790 according to the BLS, which I can see. That breaks down to $29.39 per hour. And after tax, you're taking home around $40,600 per year. Please note, this does include bachelor's, master's, PTs, and it's the average for being a licensed physical therapist, regardless of degree, as long as you hold your license. But from the early 2000s, you need your doctorate to be a licensed PT. So just throwing that in there. The average salary, according to the BLS again, is $89,440. Again, you may say that's low, that's high. I work PRN home health. I take home around $140,000 from that job alone. A few of my students make over $200,000. One of my students makes over $340,000 as a DPT working in home health. So when we see this variation, and then I also have friends in outpatient making $50,000 and whining about their lives, well, you refuse to change your situation, but that's a whole nother topic. But on average, I can see why it's $89,000. Breaking down hourly to, stupid fucking computer just died. Breaking down hourly to $44.72, take home $62,300. So when we look at take home pay between both, one is 2 years, one is 7. We're looking at $40,000 take home, and then we're looking at $60,000 take home on average. But realize that the PTA was able to start earning money faster. They're taking home $40,000 per year for the next 5 years. They're already taking home $200,000 in extra income by the time you're able to earn money as a DPT. When it comes to program cost, the cheapest PTA program for the full program is $4,000 that I was able to find. Maybe you get financial aid, maybe you go for free, but the cheapest where you pay out of pocket or take a loan is $4,000. The most expensive is $20,000 that I found. Of course, you're gonna probably pay more if you take out cost of living loans and so on, but this is just tuition alone. Because the way the information is out there and what I found, I wasn't able to find per year rates for PTA program. It's just full program cost. Maybe because it's so low, they just tell you the full cost. Where with the PT programs, they're like, hey, it's kind of high. Let's not tell you how much it is. You have to do the math yourself. But for PT, the cheapest program is obviously Baylor's main program, where you have a military commitment after and you get paid while you go there. So obviously that's the cheapest option and the most financially stable, profitable option because you get paid to go to school. Outside of the military though, you're looking on average of paying $20,000 per year, total program cost $60,000, and this does not include cost of living loans, etc. Private tuition cost per year on average as of August 31st, 2020, the day I'm making this video, is $37,000 per year for a total program cost on average without cost of living loans at $111,000. That is asinine because you can see that your starting pay on average is $62,000 after tax, and you're almost double that in debt without cost of living loans. Now, why is it so high? Honestly, it's because the DPT degree became a doctorate. People think, oh, I can charge as much as MD schools charge or DO schools charge or what have you. But realistically, these other schools are providing scholarships that you don't see in PT. Right now, I'm currently in law school, and with my scholarship, I'm paying way less than I paid for my DPT. And I only graduated a few years ago from PT school, and this is insane to me. So if you're in PT school now or considering it, do it as cheaply as possible, because this is insane. The only thing I'm going to say about it being maybe a good thing is it forces you into so much debt that it forces you to become an entrepreneur and forces you to become resourceful. Again, though, that's not for everybody. So when we compare public PTA to PT, we can see the best case scenario, no cost of living, living at home, blah, 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 blah. You're looking at $4,000 for a PTA degree versus $60,000 for a DPT. Worst case scenario, again, without cost of living, you're looking at $20,000 for a PTA versus $111,000 for the DPT. Now, just based on these numbers alone, and I put some math in the calculator here, you can see how you could come out of PTA school, take home your $40,000, pay off your $4,000 in debt, and just be making money instantly. You're still taking home $36,000 per year, and honestly, you can live off $36,000 per year, especially if you're in a low cost of living area or you move to a rural area like I have. And I understand that sometimes these numbers aren't realistic. So what I did is I put in here, say you paid $20,000 to become a PTA and you took out $20,000 in cost of living loans. You're still only at $40,000 in total debt, and you're taking home $40,000 per year. So you can still pay that off quickly. By the time a DPT has graduated and you started school at the same time, you've taken home over $150,000 to $200,000 plus in income, potential income earnings. And the DPTs have actually lost that. So you're starting out way ahead financially just based on this math alone. Now, when we look at the return on investment for PTs, say that you live at home, you live cheaply, and you went to the best case scenario option here where you only paid $60,000. You come out, you take home $62,000 your first year, you come out ahead. And then what happens is you pay off your loans because you're living at home, but then you're making $60,000 a year profit every year. You can actually surpass the PTA very quickly. But when you account for opportunity costs, it's going to take probably 5 to 10 years when you account for opportunity cost. Now, say you're the average private PT school graduate. You're coming out, worst case, well, there's actually cases worse than this, but for the purposes of this video, you took out $111,000 in cost of living loans because you lived in an expensive city like, say, San Diego or Los Angeles or Miami, New York, just an expensive city, and you went to a private program. So you're at $111,000 in tuition, then $111,000 in cost of living loans just because you had to be to attend that program. You come out of school negative $222,000 in debt. You're making $62,000 after tax on average. Is it really worth it? Financially, no. You need to create other systems. You need to work multiple jobs, work more than 40 hours a week, become more resourceful, create your own programs. But we can see this very dark picture that it paints because when you're that much in debt, it's going to weigh heavily on you. If you have federal loans, you're obviously better off because you can just do income-based. And honestly, at this rate, if you do income-based and pay the minimum and keep your income down as a traveler or just funnel everything through your business, you're going to be poorer on paper, which makes your rate lower. So you're paying less over 20 years. And then that 20 year comes and you pay the tax fee, but your tax fee is say $100,000. Well, you still paid less than what you actually borrowed and it's forgiven. However, with everything going on with COVID, I can see something happening in the next 20 years. But realistically, this is when you want to funnel things into other businesses, create other ideas. That is really the only benefit of going into this much debt to earn a DPT, is that it forces you to be resourceful, forces you to create systems, forces you to become an entrepreneur. That being said, the PTA could just be like, hey, you just graduated, I have $200,000, let me start a home health agency and hire you as my employee. So the PTA can easily make passive profit off of hiring PTs and then working under their licenses. So it really depends on what you want to do and what your end goal is, but I'm hoping this video breaks down the realities of this. And again, I'm not trying to be negative. I've done very well for myself as a PT. I'm making a decent amount of money. I have my online systems last month and the 1 month before, I'm easily making over $5,000 in online passive revenue between my course and other things I've built out. And on top of my home health job, I think I cleared $13,000 last month. So I've done well for myself as a PT. I still have a lot of debt I'm going to pay back. I'm actually currently in law school. The reason why I went to law school is to help me build out more systems. So I'm doing this with a reasonable risk and assessment, but also say I want to become a healthcare attorney. I can easily make $230,000 as a healthcare attorney as a standard job after tax, still taking home $170. But my main goal is to create systems and products to help clinicians fight back things that aren't fair, which is why I pursued a law degree after earning my DPT, also my master's degree in public health. I have so many graduate degrees now, it doesn't even matter. But what happened was so many people would not hire me to work for them or do other things that I created my own system and found a way to make this work. You can do this too. As I said, I have students who make twice as much as me, and they took my course, used my principles, and it really, really depends on your end goal and what you want to do. But right now, my advice to anybody watching this is honestly don't pursue therapy unless you can do it cheaply and you know what you're getting into, because we've already seen cuts in many settings. There's an overflooding of the market from all the new grads coming out, all the programs opening up, and at the same time, Medicare is cutting outpatient services by 9% next year, which means that pay is going to go down, plus people are taking advantage of COVID, and all this other stuff is going on that I cannot honestly recommend you go into therapy at this time. And even if you do the PTA route here, it may be hard for you to get jobs where they can hire a new grad PT to do what you do, and then they can do evals and so on. So it really depends on the system. It's either going to go one or two ways depending on your region. What's going to happen once these cuts come is that nobody's going to use PTAs, or they're going to just hire full-time PTAs and use PRN PTs. And again, I really recommend you create your own system. Now, when it comes to choosing which degree to pursue, honestly, you will have more autonomy with a DPT. Obviously, be in charge of the plan of care. So if you can't handle that as a PTA, then go with the DPT route. That's something you want to do. And also at the same time, realize there's many PTAs out there getting, $70,000 to $100,000 per year, and that's more than some DPTs are getting. So therapy, in my opinion, is just fucked right now. I'd personally stay away from it for the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, I prefer home care and I thrive in home care because I'm left alone all day and I dictate my plan of care and I'm in charge of what I do. But also in home care, PTAs are pretty autonomous as well. So if you're a PTA considering home care or considering becoming a PTA, home care may be an option you want to look into, because not only do you get PPE, etc., but you're left alone. And yeah, you got to report to me every once in a while, or if you kill somebody or if there's a fall. But at the same time, you still have the autonomy there. And that's one thing I think we all crave, is the autonomy. Home health allows you that. Other settings really don't. But ultimately, it depends on your end goal. Now, if you want to start a cash practice, you have to become a DPT, though you could be a PTA who's also a personal trainer, not have any debt, and go that route. So hopefully this painted a nice picture. If you have any questions, please comment below. Again, I'm Dr. Smith, physical therapist, and also sorry for the delay in content. I've been kind of busy with law school recently, and I am going to create some legal content. I actually have already created legal content. I'll put that in the links below if you want a contract for your website to make sure you're not liable for a variety of things. But more legal content coming out, more content like this coming out. But please send me a request, because that's usually how I prioritize my videos. I do have my own chart of ideas and so on, but depending on my chart and how it matches up with your ideas determines the content. And I'm trying to figure out a content frequency schedule. Sorry if the lighting's changing in this video as well. The windows keep going on and out. My cat's meowing. There's somebody at the door. But hopefully this went okay. And please subscribe. All right, guys. See you in the next video. Thank you.